Kings, better than diamond rings. Football, Wildcats, football, Wildcats, football, Wildcats, football,
I got it.
football, Wildcats, football, Wildcats.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, season 5, episode 5, week 5. So, Steve, I don't know how you made out last week, but I got back on track. Only had 3 losses, the Jets, Cardinals, and the Bills, but I didn't even care about the Bills because I got to watch Derrick Henry run. So, and just one little housekeeping note. Remember when I threw the challenge flag on you last week?
Yeah.
Because you tried to claim that you were on the Rams when they played San Fran in week 3. And I checked the tape and you were not on the Rams. And I quote, "I'm going on the side of history. The 49ers always beat the Rams. I'm going 49ers." So, just so we're clear
Well,
on
I'm
that
proven
one.
wrong then.
All right. So
On Sunday, I like the Rams.
we are our first week of bye weeks. So we have 4 teams on bye: the Lions, the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Titans. First game on the slate is the Jets at the Vikings in London. This opened at Jets minus 3.5. It is now shifted to Vikings minus 2.5. So this is an interesting game to me. It is the Sam Darnold revenge game, although he doesn't get to go back to, is it Meadowlands? Is that where they play in New York?
Yes.
So, and I don't know, like Darnold doesn't really strike me as a good revenge guy, so maybe that's a good thing. What I wondered when I first saw this game is, has Aaron Rodgers ever faced a Brian Flores defense? And I couldn't get a straight answer from Google, so I had to look up Flores' work history, and I was able to confirm that with the exception of 2 games where the Packers played the Patriots in the mid-2010s, when Flores was just like a safeties linebackers coach, he never has. So Rodgers and company struggled last week against the Denver defense. They did some of what Flores likes to do. I do fear that Sam Darnold is going to come back down to earth at some point. I think I said it last week. It didn't happen last week. I hope it's not this week. I kind of feel like this could be a trap game. But I am going to go with the Vikings.
I definitely feel like it's a trap game. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Davante Adams coming over to the Jets because he's asking for a trade now.
Are there a lot of rumors? There's a lot
Vegas.
of rumors about Davante Adams getting traded and all the speculation of all the teams that he would go to. And I guarantee you 100% if he leaves the Raiders, he's going to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers dragged Randall Cobb around with him for years. You don't think he would love to have Davante Adams back?
Yeah. So exactly. So I think they're going to want to show their best foot forward so that they can kind of show that they're worth picking him up and still making a run. After last week, debacle against Denver, I'm really putting a lot of that on the weather. It was wet.
I don't think it had anything to do with
Rodgers
weather.
wasn't really throwing the ball well. And I think this is a situation where people are going to look at the Vikings are 4-0. They're rolling. Like you said, Sam Darnold is looking really good. And I love the Vikings too. But I just think in this spot in the schedule with them 4-0, and I think the Jets are what, 2-2?
I don't have that
I think they're
information
2-2.
handy.
This is where I think the public
2-2
will go on the
sounds about
Vikings. And they're minus 3.5 here. I'll take the points. I know they're going abroad, so this game's at a 9:30 in the morning. But I think this is a good spot where the Jets will creep in, and I think the Jets are going to win handily. I don't even think it's going to be a close game, to be honest.
I trust Brian Flores to get to Rodgers. I'm sure. Like, here's the question. All these teams flew over to London, right? What was Nate Hackett doing on the plane, and what was Brian Flores doing on the plane? Because I'm pretty sure Hackett was asleep, and Brian Flores was scheming up his defense. So I got to go with what I feel is the right football side. And if it goes south, then it goes south for other reasons. All right, so we're on different sides of that one. Next game is the Ravens at the Bengals. It opened at Bengals -1.5. It has shifted to Ravens -2.5. This is a division game. I feel like off kilter. Bengals lost both matchups when they played last year. They did win the previous year in the playoffs, and they split in the regular season prior. I guess the Ravens looked good last week, in large part to Derrick Henry. I don't know if the Bengals can stop him in their current state. They did play the Titans quite a few times in recent years, and they didn't really stop him completely then. But I gotta figure this is a big game for the Bengals, given they only have one win on the season, I think. It's a division game, so this would go a long way in their hopes of making the playoffs. Bengals have looked better now that they have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase out there. Ravens' weakness on defense is probably in their secondary, so hopefully Burrow can take advantage. One stat I saw that came up on my Facebook feeds, Lamar Jackson is 24-5 against the spread as a favorite of 3 or less or an underdog. So that would apply in this situation, but I kind of feel like everybody's got to be on the Ravens, right, after watching them beat up on the Bills. So I'm going to take the Bengals here.
I'm going to take the Bengals as well. They're 1-3. They're desperate for a win. They are a home dog, and they can't really afford to lose this game and stay in the division
Is there an echo
hunt here. Yep.
All right, so same side of that one. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, I'm good.
Good. All right. Next game, Panthers at Bears. Open at Bears -5.5. It's at Bears -3.5. I don't have a whole lot on this game other than I'm not sure that the Bears really deserve to be 3.5-point favorites. They have a good defense. They still have not done a whole lot on offense. I think the Panthers can generate enough to keep it close, so I would take the points and go Panthers. Deontay Johnson is questionable. I think he was questionable last week. So
He's playing now.
Okay. So
he came back to practice, I think, today, and they expect him to play. So I'm on the same side. I think it's too many points, and it's a similar situation. I think what we had last week. The Bears are -3.5, and I don't feel comfortable with the Bears.
Oh, and one thing I wanted to add. So last week, I think on the podcast, you were on the Rams. I was not thrilled, but that was the side I was leaning towards. Now I did check the money splits, and the public was heavily on the Rams. So I did post a comment in the YouTube video, and I will do that going forward if something changes my opinion strongly on a game. So
yeah, you did nail that too.
Yes, I did.
Right. So beware of the road dog that the public is a favorite, right?
Well, that's, anytime the public is on and usually the public is on the favorite. So if the public's on an underdog, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So, yeah, I like the Panthers. I think Deontay Johnson's definitely going to play. Xavier Legette is going to play. And, it's looking like Andy Dalton's really started to connect with both of the receivers.
And this is technically an Andy Dalton revenge game, but I think once you go down that road, he's been on quite a few teams. So,
yeah, there's a couple Andy Dalton revenge games.
All right, so
last week was the same thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was the Bengals, so that was where
that was his main team,
right? All right, next game is the game of the week: Dolphins at Patriots. Opened at Dolphins -3.5. It's shifted to Patriots -1.5. I was obviously being sarcastic. This is the shit show game of the week. So Tyler Huntley, is that his name? Came in last week for the Dolphins. Didn't seem to do much. He had only been with the team a few days, so maybe he has a little more time this time. I don't know, but I can't get past the fact that the Dolphins team has Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have A-Chain, and they still can't do anything without Tua, who I don't think is the greatest quarterback to begin with. Now, McDaniels has got to be feeling the heat at this point, so maybe he's actually going to try to come up with an offensive scheme that's going to work, and this would be the place to do it. So, I mean, I don't advocate putting your hard-earned dollars on this game, but I would have to take the Dolphins.
Again, we're on the same side. I mean, I think you have to take Tyler Huntley here. It's hard for me to take the Patriots, especially when they're a favorite, even though they're at home. The lineup just looks really bad. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, I'm kind of a fan of. But
and they did lose their center, I think.
Well, he looked really bad last week. So what's he dealing with? Like Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, who's questionable, and Demario Douglas are the three receivers. It's not really a good lineup for Jacoby Brissett to try to pull out a win against Miami. I think Miami's hungry based off them struggling for the last couple of games. So I think Miami gets a win here. They're currently 1-3 at the bottom of the division, tied with the Patriots. So the loser of this game is going to be in the cellar all by themselves at 1-4. I think Miami pulls this one out on the road.
All right. Next game is the Bills at the Texans. This opened at -1.5 in favor of the Texans. It shifted to Bills -1.5. So after last week, I'm starting to think that maybe the Bills are the new Dolphins. They can beat up on bad teams, but can't compete against the good ones. So obviously they looked pretty good when they played the Jags 2 weeks ago. But last week they couldn't do much up against the Ravens. I do think the Texans are a good team. They have a lot of talent. This is the Stephon Diggs revenge game for sure. And Josh Allen just doesn't have anybody to throw with. And now even, I don't know how you say his name. It starts with what?
Shakur?
Yeah, Shakir is his last name. The first name, I can't say the whole name. But anyway, he's out for this game now.
Really?
So, yes, that's one less option for him to throw to. So, I got to take the Texans here.
You can't say Khalil?
Yeah, well, Khalil Shakir. It's hard. Say it 4 times fast. Get back to me.
Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir.
I can't say it.
Yeah.
He said Murphy.
That hard. Murphy started barking. He's not a big fan of Khalil Shakir.
So, who's your pick?
Well, I mean, the Bills have looked great this season, right? And they're all, from an offensive perspective. You got James Cook is really coming into his own as the running back, and Keon Coleman is healthy with Matt Collins. Matt Collins, I don't know if you remember him doing the gritty. He was one of the first gritty guys dancing after a touchdown for the Eagles back in 2017. But
really,
you have him,
Justin
Dalton
Jefferson
Kincaid.
totally stole that show.
Yeah, he's a little bit better. Dalton Kincaid, I'm looking for him to kind of get off a little bit in this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring one. But CJ Stroud, I think that's the side you got to go. The only thing that concerns me is that, it's Cam Akers is the running back. Damian Pierce and Joe Mixon both seem like they're not going to play. I think
Joe Mixon is out.
Yeah. So Cam
nice
Akers is going to have to stand up. I mean, if he's healthy, he did look good, for the last, couple games with the Rams when he played there. But can he stay healthy? And if he's not healthy, they don't have much behind him. So you got Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell healthy at wideout.
Tank Dell will be back this week.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Stephon Diggs, it's his revenge game against the Bills, and I'm pretty sure he's going to fire the boys up in the locker room, and he's not going to want to lose this game. So I think Houston, a high-scoring affair.
Okay. But who's your pick?
Houston.
Okay, good. All right, same
The
side.
Texans.
Same side.
The Houston Texans.
All right, well, let's get your opinion on this next one then. So
Who'd you go with there?
the Texans.
Okay.
We're on the same side.
Houston?
All right, next game. Colts at Jags. Opened at Jags -2.5. It's at Jags -2.5. This is a division game. And one thing I remembered when I looked at this is that the Colts don't play well in Jacksonville. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but they don't. We do have a question mark, I guess, at quarterback for the Colts, whether it will be Richardson. I think he's questionable right now, or if we will get Joe Flacco. I kind of prefer Richardson based on my pick, which I'm getting to. Jonathan Taylor is out for the Colts. Now, I'm a little bit worried because the Jags are 0-4. There are reports that Peterson has lost the locker room. After the game last week, he was questioned by a reporter about the play calling, and he kind of said, well, the players have to execute the plays. So that was probably not a good thing for him to say. Trevor Lawrence had said previously that they all have to be better. The coaches have to be better. So I kind of read that as a shot there. So there's definitely some dysfunction going on there that worries me a little bit, but I am going to take the Jags again.
I'm taking the Jags too. I just don't like the Colts.
And I hate it, but I got to do it.
Yeah, it's painful because they're 0-4, right? But they got to get a win eventually, and I think this is it. Like you said, that historically the Colts have come into town, and Jacksonville have not escaped with a W in a while. Their Jags are -3.5. As long as it stays below 3, I'd take Jacksonville as well. You got to think that the kind of turmoil that they're both Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson are going to be really focused and try to put a game plan together that's going to win this game.
Well, let's hope so. All right. Next game is the Browns at the Commanders. This opened at Browns. All these games have shifted. Opened at Browns -2.5. It's now at Commanders -3. So this, to me, is the public game of the week. I think everybody's going to be on the Commanders after they beat the Bengals in prime time. Then they go to Arizona, and pretty much after the first drive, shut them down. Wasn't even much of a game. So nobody really likes the Browns. Everybody thinks Watson's no good. I just feel like the public's going to be all over Washington. So I got to take the Browns. And it's another one that doesn't really feel good, but it is what it is.
I'm leaning towards that way, but I'm just going to lay off this game because I just can't see the Commanders, especially the 3-point favorites. And the biggest thing is that I do think the money's going to be loaded up on the Commanders based off of, the quarterback looks outstanding and everybody thinks he's going to be the next Joe Montana. So I think that they take a step back here, but I just can't pull the trigger on Cleveland.
Yeah, but those are the games where you make the money, dude. The most uncomfortable bets are the safest bets.
I mean, the defense hasn't even looked that great. So, they could challenge Jaden Daniels, and I wouldn't take Washington here for sure. I think Browns are the play, but for the most part, I'm probably just going to lay off this game.
All right. Next game is the Cardinals at the 49ers. Opened at 49ers -9.5. I have it at -7.5 in favor of the Niners. So this is a division game. This is the predictable division, except for 2 weeks ago. So the 49ers, in addition to owning the Rams, they do own the Cardinals. All losses over the last 2 years, pretty handily. 45-29, 35-16, 38-13, and 38-10. Obviously, it wasn't Kyler Murray in probably a lot of those games. For the 49ers, Fred Warner left the game last week. He says he will play. I think he's technically questionable, so that's one thing to watch. And I think Kittle came back, but now he's questionable, and he was a non-participant at practice. So I would prefer to get this at or below 7. I don't like that hook, but I got to go Niners.
I'm going Cardinals. It's too many points. It started at 9.5. It's down to 7.5. That's crazy, but probably, I'm thinking it's probably going to be at 7 by the time it's Sunday kickoff, but I'm going to take the Cardinals here. I took them last week and didn't work out too well, but I think this is a spot where, they can come in a division matchup and give the 49ers fits and keep it to a 3-4 point game.
Okay. Different sides of that one. All right. Next game is the Raiders at the Broncos. This is also a division game. Raiders have dominated this matchup historically. You have to go back to 2019 to find a Broncos win. The Broncos have won the last 2 weeks. So I don't know that they're good enough to win 3 in a row. They don't have any real offense. They do have a good defense. I can't take the Broncos. It does look like the sharp side is the Broncos. That has me a little bit worried, but I think the Raiders should be able to do enough. So I got to take the points. I got to take the Raiders.
I'm taking the Raiders too. We're all over the same games. I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad sign. It's usually a good sign, but I think basically Zamir White's out, Devontae Adams is out. Devontae Adams, we just talked, he's about the Jets game, and he's looking for a trade, and we think he's going to end up there. But these guys are going to step up this week with led by Gardner Minshew. The guys who are going to step up, like Alexander Madison, the ex-Vikings running back. You got DJ Turner, Jacoby Myers, and Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker seriously is going to look to try to step out of the shadows of Devontae Adams and prove that he can play in the NFL. So I think that they got a shot to really, from a standpoint of this is a good spot where it looks like doom and gloom at the Raiders, that they go in and steal a win. What I like the most, and I was going to say, but you made a great point, you already brought this up, is that the Broncos 2 in a row. The Broncos going to win 3 in a row? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. And you're getting points with the Raiders. So I like the Raiders.
All right. Same side of that one. All right. Next game is the Packers at the Rams. It opened at Rams -1.5. It's now Packers -3. So this is an interesting game, I think. Jordan Love did come back last week. He couldn't do much in the first half, but they did make it a game in the second half. I guess that could have been a little bit of prevent defense. But the Rams defense is not the Vikings defense. And we've seen, now that Rodgers is not a Packer anymore, we've seen Matt LaFleur actually be able to coach. He did get 2 wins with Malik Willis at quarterback, which I'm still a little bitter about. LaFleur and McVay worked together in Washington. And these teams actually have played 4 times in the past few years. The Packers won all 4, 20-3, 24-12, 36-28, and 32-18. That goes back to 2021. So I think LaFleur owns McVay. And I got to go Packers. One note, I don't know, the Packers kicker, whoever that guy is, he's not very good. So he missed a couple kicks last week, so that might be something. But what's your pick here?
Are you talking about Braden Narvison?
Yeah, I've never heard of him. Who was their old kicker?
He missed
Mason Crosby.
He missed a couple Mason Crosby. Yeah, he didn't look good in the game last week. He had a couple of easy ones too that he missed.
Yeah, so I mean that could go either way. But so you're on the Packers too?
No, I'm not. I like the Rams here. Okay. I think they, even though Cooper Kupp is out, I think they still have enough firepower with Kyrie Williams, who's really coming to his own as a running back, and he stayed healthy. You're going to have to rely on Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell. But I think this is a Colby Parkinson game. I think he's going to be able to get off. The tight end has had some success against Green Bay here in the past, and this really feels like a public is going to be all over the Packers. Yeah, well, there's games.
Like sharp reverse line movement on this one, so that is cause for concern.
Yeah, so it's 1.5 open on the Rams, and now it's on the Packers. So Rams are a home dog, 3 points. I'm going to take that all day.
All right, I got to go Packers.
You want to bet on that one?
Sure.
All right. I got the Rams.
All right,
got the
but
Pack.
Look for updates in the comments on this one. All right, next game is the Giants.
You can't take that bet back if you switch your side Sunday.
Okay, that's fine. Giants at Seahawks opened at Seahawks -3.5. It's up to Seahawks -6.5. So I do think that the Giants are a better team this year than they were last year. I do still think that the Seahawks are a bit of a fraud. They did lose last week to Detroit. It was a high-scoring game, but sometimes there's just fluky matchups where that works out. And that's the way it's been between the Seahawks and the Lions. These teams played twice in recent years. Seattle won both of those pretty handily, 24-3 and 27-13. To me, this game was going to come down to whether Neighbors is playing, but he is now ruled out. Wan'Dale Robinson has had quite a few catches as well in the past few games for the Giants, but I have to believe that is because he's playing, he's the number 2 Neighbors, so I don't know how well he's going to fare without Neighbors on the field. And
they're also going to be without Devin Singletary. So
yeah, I don't really love taking the Seahawks at -6.5. I would lean Giants, but with all that, those guys not on the field, I'm just laying off this game completely.
I'm taking Seattle. I like Seattle. They're at home, 12th man. The Giants missing Singletary. The Giants, missing Malik Neighbors. I don't know what Daniel Jones is going to do, but he's definitely not going to carry this team to a win. So they're going to fly all the way across country into Seattle. I'll take the Seahawks all day.
Yeah, this is another one where the public's going to be all over the Seahawks. That's probably what worries me. What would even make me entertain the idea of still taking the Giants.
This game is like a typical bet the Giants game, but they don't have any. The Giants suck. And the only thing that they had was Malik Neighbors, and the fact that they just kept throwing to him and throwing to him and throwing to him. They used him too much and they beat him up as they ran out of energy.
That was a weird. I mean, we were watching that, and it was just a weird. Like he caught it on the sideline and just fell. And they said he wasn't wearing a mouthpiece, and that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just spent. When you get really tired, and you're just more susceptible to injury when you get hit. So. It was kind of ominous looking play.
I don't think it was really though. It looked very, It looked very mundane.
Yeah.
Yeah, for him.
Look up the word ominous. All right.
Okay.
So I'll take Seattle.
All right. Next game is the Cowboys at the Steelers. Opened at Cowboys -1.5. It's now Steelers -1.5. Cowboys have lost DeMarcus Lawrence. I hope I have that first name right. Because there's another guy who plays for the Giants. Dexter, is that right? Anyway, they're going to be without DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. I always say that one wrong. And Brandon Cooks is out as well. They have no real run game. So the whole offense is basically CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. I think the public is going to be on the Cowboys, though, in this one. So I'm going to take the Steelers.
I think this game is ominous for the Cowboys because they're looking like inside 1.5. I know there's going to be a lot of America's money on the Cowboys, but I think it's truly an ominous game for them. I'm going to keep using the word because I'm going to take the Steelers. I think they're in trouble. Cowboys are in trouble here.
Who do you think is going to be the first coach that gets fired this year? Because, I mean, McCarthy could be on the list. Peterson's obviously on the list.
Is Nick Sirianni on the list?
He's definitely on the list. I guess maybe even Mike McDaniels is on the list. I don't know. I mean, I have to.
The thing with McDaniels is it would be pretty heartless for them. I'm not saying he shouldn't get fired, but it'd be pretty heartless for them to get rid of him when you've had this Tua issue, right? And he seems to be very supportive of Tua if he was to go down the avenue of retiring.
My problem with him is like he obviously designed this offense to work for Tua, and it worked well. It worked well last year, but the problem is that when he doesn't have Tua, he's not really doing anything to help them win. Like you see Matt LaFleur. He came up with a game plan to be able to win a game with Malik Willis. That's what you want your coach to do.
He looks like a deer in headlights. And he doesn't know what direction to go in.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's the only reason. But again, I mean,
I think Doug Peterson, to answer your question, who's the one that's number one on the list? It's going to be Doug Peterson. If he loses this week, he's out.
Yeah,
I strongly feel that way.
Probably. But I think Mike McCarthy could be up there. And then I don't know if it was you or somebody said, you have Belichick out there. You have Mike Grable out there. Whoever fires first gets first pick of those guys if you want them.
My feeling is that Belichick's going to end up in Dallas, right? But if they do it mid-season, I think, Jerry's going to throw the kitchen sink at Belichick to try to get him in there. And it's going to be a great position for Belichick to negotiate. I'm sure he's going to get, a multi-million-dollar contract to come out of retirement and coach those guys.
Well, does Belichick want to work there? Because isn't Jerry Jones a little too involved?
If I was Jerry Jones, I wouldn't want to work there. But you got to think about this, right? Where was Bill Belichick the coach of?
Are you asking me a question like most recently?
Like if you look at who was he a coach of?
The Patriots.
Yeah, and who was he a coach of before that?
I don't know. It was
Well,
before
he was
my time.
actually okay. So listen,
He was with the.
what do these teams have in common? He was a long-term coach for New England. Before that, he was the coach of the Jets for about 3 hours, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Before that,
He was with the Browns.
he was with the Browns. We'll take that one out. But who was he with before he got a head coaching job in New York with the Giants? What do the Giants, the Jets job, and New England have in common? They all had Bill Parcells as a coach, right?
Okay, right.
Where else has Bill Parcells coached?
Dallas.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be surprising that he would go there.
Well, they're like they make it sound like they're friendly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he lays the path. It's the same type of coaching tree. You think about the NFL, and it's a lot about like relationships and coaching trees and things like that. And when owners or teams get comfortable with one guy, they really like, the entire process, and then they expand out from that coach. So Jerry Jones, I think, is definitely a guy that would take a shot on, even though it might seem like, he's the type of guy Belichick's going to want to be able to make decisions. But I think there's a possibility after his general managing, let's say, abilities come into question in New England, because you have to be honest. He has to be honest with himself. That roster got turned to shit. They didn't have any talent when he left there, and it was mostly his fault because he was picking the players. So I think maybe he can reverse that, go to the Cowboys and not ask for that. Maybe a say at the table, but doesn't need to be the general manager making all the picks, because there's no way that they're going to deviate. I don't believe there's any way they're going to deviate from the plan that they have now, which is basically Jerry Jones' son is the general manager.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you are on the Steelers there as well.
I am on the Steelers.
All right. So the final game of the week, this is the Monday night game, the only Monday night game this week, is the Saints at the Chiefs. It opened at Chiefs -8. It's down to Chiefs -5.5. So last week, the Chiefs lost Rashee Rice. They had lost the running back the week before.
Pacheco.
So Derek Carr was formerly a Raider. So they played in the same division with the Chiefs. Chiefs generally seem to always win. They don't always cover. And I thought that everybody was going to be on the Chiefs. And I was super excited thinking I was going to get the Saints here, because I'm all about the Saints. But apparently everybody is on the Saints. So now I can't take the Saints.
I don't know why they're on the Saints. I like the Chiefs here. I mean,
well, the Chiefs haven't looked great. Patrick Mahomes is throwing like interceptions. Like he's got like
they just gotta get
multiple.
up. Listen, he just needs a little bit of time with these newer guys because they haven't practiced much with him, right? You got Rashee Rice and what's his name is out, Pacheco, but you got Xavier Worthy, who looks really fast, and hopefully, he can get deep for the Chiefs and maybe score once or twice. But Justin Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster are not bad targets. The problem that concerns me is Travis Kelce. I don't know where his head seems like it's stuck up his ass. Or
you know how old he is? I didn't realize he's 35 years old.
Travis?
Yeah.
Oh, is he older?
No, nothing.
Than Jason?
No.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I didn't realize he was quite that old. I thought he was like 30, 32-ish.
Yeah, but he should still be able to play because he's not slow. It's just it seems like he's got womanitis. Like literally, since he's been with Taylor Swift, it just seems like this season he has like not been, let's say, alert. He's dropping some easy balls. He doesn't look like he's really hustling that hard.
Well, let me ask you this question. Is Andy Reid the type of coach that's going to let a rookie out there because Xavier Worthy, like the first game he had like 3 targets, he had 2 touchdowns. Like that's not a sustainable production. But like, is Andy Reid somebody that's not going to put him out there just because he's a rookie? Or in this situation where you're down your number 1 receiver, like is he going to let him step into a bigger role?
So I think the answer is he doesn't have a choice. He's going to have to let him step into a bigger role because you can't build a game plan around Juju Smith-Schuster the way he's shown. He's played football the last 2 years. So I think the issue when you think of Worthy, like a lot of people see the 2 touchdowns, but you got to realize he only had like 3 targets the first game, right?
Yeah,
He just got lucky early. It's not like he backed him off per se. He's just not part of the game plan. But now you get rid of Rice because he's injured, who was demanding the ball. He got double-digit targets most of the games, you know? So Rice out there opens the door for Worthy because there's nobody else.
Okay.
You know, you got Kareem Hunt, who's questionable, but I think he's going to play. And then you have Pirine and Steele, who Steele dropped the ball on the ground and didn't get back in the game last time. So, you know, I think they're going to lean on Hunt and they're going to lean on Worthy. And Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the league. So we'll see what happens. But I like the Chiefs here, -5.5.
So I got to watch where the money goes because I really want to take the Saints. But if all the money's on the Saints, you can't take the Saints. It's Monday night. So, all right, that'll do it for us for week 5. Remember, like I said, I will post updates in the comments if I get any strong opinions based on where money is. If you're watching, like and subscribe, and we will see you back here in week 6. Peace out.